I've already talked about Eric Bieniemy and Brian Daboll, but now let's move on to our next choice. You guys voted for it. It's going to be Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers.
Jets, Jets!
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm Joe Brady. I'm excited to be here. Still just trying to figure out where my office is and trying to find my way around here. So, look, there's going to be a lot of questions that I might not necessarily have your answers for right now, but I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to work for the Carolina Panthers and be a part of the process with Coach Rule.
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Guys, I will be going live with Green Bean and Matt O'Leary Friday, January 1st for the Clemson-Ohio State playoff game. If you guys want to check that out, it's 8 o'clock. I'll link that in the description down below. We're going to be talking about Fields, Lawrence, all that good stuff. So check it out, hang out with us, have a good time. But let's move on to our topic of the day. Today we are talking about offensive coordinator Joe Brady. This is a guy that I have been very excited about over the last year or so. I actually mocked him to us as our head coach halfway through the season when I did my mock 1.0. So I am very high on him, but let's go over everything. Let's discuss his history all the way up to now, and let's discuss what it could possibly mean for the New York Jets, or maybe another team if you're another team kind of watching this. At 31 years old, he's going to draw a lot of comparisons to Sean McVay out in Los Angeles, and I think the way you saw the Rams hire Wade Phillips as their defensive coordinator, I think something similar could happen with Joe Brady. Because he's so young, you could see someone bring in an older defensive coordinator that might be able to sort of groom him and teach him the ways of being a head coach and sort of controlling a whole team. So I have some options for that, and I'll go into that towards the end of this video. But let's go through his career. He was a wide receiver. He grew up in Miami, was a wide receiver, wound up going to college to be a wide receiver at William & Mary, and then when he graduated, he became the linebackers coach for 2 years there. He then moved on to Penn State. He was a graduate assistant there. 2 names to watch out for. Connor McGovern was the a lineman with Penn State at that time. He is our current center, so that's kind of a nice little connection there. And Chris Godwin, a wide receiver I really want, who's going to be hitting free agency this offseason. He was working under Joe Brady as well. So maybe you get Joe Brady, you have an inside track at Godwin. So that's something to keep an eye on. Then he goes to one of my favorite teams in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints, for 2017 and 2018. And Michael Thomas puts together his 2 best seasons of his career under Joe Brady. And I love the Saints. Like, if I had to pick an NFC team, it's hands down the Saints. It's actually the only team that I have another jersey of other than like the Jets. Like, I'm super dialed into the Saints. I really, really like them. But when I'm looking at this, I love Sean Payton. I think he's a brilliant offensive mind. I would go so far as to say I would give up our Seattle first-round pick just to get Sean Payton. Like, that's how highly I think of this head coach. And he's so good on the offensive side of the ball. And the last time the Jets had a really good offense, you could argue, was 2017 when we had John Morton, the former wide receivers coach of the New Orleans Saints. So I would love to bring in that style of offense to this New York team. And I think Joe Brady, when you see the success that Michael Thomas had under him, I don't think it's a coincidence. He's having success wherever he goes. He follows up his 2 years with the Saints. He goes to LSU to be the passing game coordinator, and he has wide receivers that absolutely go off. Justin Jefferson is absolutely elite, probably looking like the best wide receiver, if not maybe the second best wide receiver in this draft class. And then you have Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall that are both projected to be really high picks. Jamar Chase could probably go in the top 5. Terrace Marshall might be, early second round, end of the first round kind of pick. But he just developed these guys into elite weapons in just 1 year. And not just from the wide receivers, but this whole LSU team was incredible. It was like a historic offense. It's of just paramount proportions. This is a wild, wild team. They had 7 signature wins over the course of that season. They beat number 9 Texas 45-38, number 7 Florida 42-28, number 9 Auburn 23-20. I know multiple numbers, but that's because they rank differently as they go throughout the year. Alabama at number 3 46-41, Georgia number 4 37-10, Oklahoma number 4 63-28, and then they cap it all off with a win against Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers 42-25. Number 3 Clemson Tigers. That to me is just so wild. I love the high-flying offense. I think it's incredible what you can do against that level of competition. Not to mention, you look at the quarterback play too. Like Joe Burrow winds up going number 1 overall. This is a guy who played at Ohio State, was unable to beat out Dwayne Haskins as the quarterback in Ohio State, transfers to LSU, plays at LSU in 2018. He has a 58% completion percentage, 222 yards per game, has 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Go into his year with Joe Brady, 76% completion percentage, 378 yards per game, 60 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. Joe Brady, you are a monster. I don't know if he deserves all the credit, but man, that is some game-changing type stats that are just, I don't know. It's wild to think that offense can be so good from one year to another year when they didn't really change that much. That just absolutely boggles my mind. Then after 1 year as the LSU passing game coordinator, he earns the Broyles Award for the top assistant in college football and gets hired by Matt Rule, who we tried to interview to be our head coach, but we wanted to stick him with his own offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators and wouldn't let him pick the coordinators and whatnot. Ugh. But he goes to Carolina, becomes the offensive coordinator there, and Teddy Bridgewater is having another pretty good year. I mean, for the lack of Christian McCaffrey and everything, he's setting career highs in completion percentages and touchdowns. So he has Teddy Bridgewater playing well, just like he had Joe Burrow playing well last year. And I understand there's going to be people that are saying, well, the Carolina Panthers are 5-10. That offense cannot be that good if they are, that bad. Take it easy. You got to look at this Panthers team and what they're kind of doing. Not having Christian McCaffrey, arguably the best weapon in the NFL, or like a top 5 weapon in the NFL, he's been able to adapt that offense to really get the most out of the players surrounding him. And not to mention, they had 1-possession losses to the Raiders, the Bears, the Saints, the Falcons, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Broncos, and the Packers. So that's 8 games. You're telling me they could be, in theory, what is that, 13-2, if things kind of bounce the right way? This team is playing hard. It could be for Matt Rule, it could be for Joe Brady, but the offense is scoring points, and they're competing with a lot of other teams. So I really, really like Joe Brady, and the resume for me, as I go through each stop that he's been in his career, I just get more and more excited for this kind of guy coming in here. Now, when I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at it from a Jets perspective, what are our biggest issues with Adam Gase right now? He doesn't have good relationships with his star players, and he has an inability to be flexible on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Panthers lost Christian McCaffrey. They were able to kind of keep clicking on all cylinders. And I don't want to say not miss a beat because they're definitely missing him, but I mean, they're having a pretty decent year. And in terms of having a good relationship with his players, it seems like Joe Brady really relates to the guys. And it helps that he's a lot younger. I mean, he's only, within 10 years of age of pretty much every one of these players on this team. And not even just that, like when he lost his 2 wide receivers to a COVID protocol, he wasn't trying to talk to him about, the game plans or virtual meetings or things like that. He's shooting him a text. He's like, hey, how are you guys feeling? What's going on? I just want to, hear from you. So I think he cares about the players. I love the personality. I think he's energetic. I think he's hungry. I think he's going to want an opportunity. And I think pairing him, so we're going to have to pair him with a defensive coordinator that's a little bit older, I think. Like if he comes into the New York Jets and he comes here, I would look to possibly bring in Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis, longtime Bengals head coach, never won a playoff game with the Bengals, so I understand where people may not be overly thrilled with that. But Marvin Lewis absolutely ran one of the most electric defenses with the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. That team was incredible, not to mention there's a connection with Joe Douglas there. So I could see Marvin Lewis coming in with Joe Brady as the head coach. I would be absolutely all on board with this. I think this is the type of hire that is looking in like a 4D chess kind of way, or more of like a futuristic type of way. Because I could see Joe Brady having a little bit of struggles early on trying to control a room. Is he old enough to formulate a staff? There's a lot of hurdles that could come up just because of his age. But I think his ability to be flexible, his ability to relate to his players, and just his offense in general. This could be the first time the Jets actually have like a legitimate offense. I was editing this video and I just realized I forgot to mention a really key part to this whole situation. I would like Joe Brady to be the first person we interview, and it's important that you get this guy in the door right away because all the other main head coaching candidates are all going to go to the playoffs, and a lot of them are going to have, they'll be wrapped up. They may deny interviews to start. They might wait till after their season ends. So if you're looking at Brian Daboll, who it looks like the Bills could be going to the AFC Championship game, possibly further than that, you're waiting so much longer to start building your staff. Guys like Arthur Smith, Eric Bieniemy, other head coaching candidates, you don't have to worry about that. Panthers are not going to the playoffs. Joe Brady will be available at right after week 17. It's like ring, ring, ring. Hey, Gase, you're gone. Boom, Joe Brady on the phone. Get up here. Let's interview you. So, guys, I like Joe Brady. I would sign up for this guy 10 times out of 10. Let me know what you think of everything down below in the comments. Who do you want to see me break down next? And as always, go Jets.